launched a monitoring tool, the ANC Local Government Barometer. This is a quarterly monitoring and evaluation instrument. With me tonight is Phoebe Potgieter Qubule, General Manager of the ANC, and she's here to explain the workings of the barometer. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Great stuff. So tell me exactly how this barometer is going to work and how it's set up.
The barometer has three objectives. So the first one is for us to monitor the implementation of our manifesto, because the manifesto is, in a sense, a contract between the ANC and the voters. And in a sense, both those that vote for the ANC and those that don't vote for the ANC, because once you're elected, you're responsible to everybody. So it is to monitor how far are we with implementing those commitments that we made in the manifesto. The second one is to also look at some of the challenges that we face in local government. You know, the problems of service delivery, the problems of financial management, the problems of corruption. And then to look at the rich data which every quarter has been produced by the Auditor General, by SALGA, the South African Local Government Association, by COCTA, and to then, in a sense, look at those and then say, okay, what do we do about it? If, for example, it says that there are 20 municipalities that's dysfunctional, we don't wait till they completely collapse, but that we're able to intervene and then look at what we do about it. The third purpose of the barometer is that our councillors about a week ago, or candidate councillors, about a week ago signed a pledge where they undertake to do a whole range of different issues during their 5-year terms of office if they get elected. And so it's for us to make sure that we also monitor our councillors, because in the door-to-door work and the community meetings over the last period of the campaign, one of the things that people say, but you know, last time we saw our ward councillor was when you were here 5 years ago. So we don't know what's happening with the local government. We've got problems in our community, but we haven't seen our ward councillor. So the third purpose of it is to look at how do we keep our councillors accountable to the pledge that they signed, or
Okay, so it's to monitor, to track the challenges and to keep account of the work of the councillors. Okay, so in terms of like, you know, the work around the local government and the work of the councillors, what information went into creating this barometer?
Well, the first edition does two things. So what it does is look at the current challenges, where are we? But it also takes a step back, because we now 21 years of democratic local government. If you can recall the 1995-1996 elections for local government was still on the basis of the old apartheid demarcations. And it was only in 2000 that we really introduced a new democratic developmental system of local government. So what we did was to, in the first edition, to take that step back and say that where do we come from? We had to integrate apartheid municipalities. We had to then look at how do you make sure that the structural underdevelopment and the backlogs in water, in sanitation, in roads. I mean, if you look at Soweto, the overwhelming majority of roads in Soweto in 2000 were not tarred. Today they are. So the question was how do you catch up with the backlog? I think that part of the question today is how do we meet that, how do we address that last 15% water, electricity, basic services, but also then how do you maintain? And I think the critical issue that we face with today is how do you maintain? You've extended water to people, but how do you ensure that the taps, there's water in the taps, that you, when there are breakages and leakages in pipes, that you are able to respond quickly.
Okay, so the feeling obviously with the community as we build up to local government is that everything has taken too long. How is this barometer going to work in mitigating that sort of like a challenge?
Okay, So what we will do is it's a quarterly, so every 3 months. We will come back to communities and say that, you know, in terms of our manifesto undertakings, in terms of what the monitoring agencies like the Auditor General say, in terms of what our councillors are doing, this is where we are. And amongst the things that we will have to do is to not just announce it on the media, but also to actually go to the communities and say to the communities, the next edition will be 100 days after a new local government and no local councillors took office. We will have to go back and say that we've said you 3 months ago told us that there's sewage in the street, or that you have a problem that the taps are dry, etc., etc. This is where what we found out what the problem is, and this is what we're doing to fix that problem. So in a sense, it's a mechanism to report back to communities about what's happening, but at the same time also to put pressure on our councils, as well as other spheres of government to fix the problems that community find so difficult. I mean, if you look at the water issue, we often forget that Southern Africa and South Africa is a water scarce country. I mean, when was it? About 2 years ago, we had the near day zero in Cape Town. And reports say that in the next 10, 20 years, Johannesburg may face a similar problem. So we're a water-dry country. We've got water agencies across the country. But in a sense, part of what you need to do is to look at the issue centrally, and central government national government have to play a role there, working together with provincial government as well as with local governments.
Okay, so then the other question is that, is this a report card to speed up service delivery, so to say? And what will be the role of the community in, putting data to this, particular barometer?
Yeah. I think that's a very important question. It's a report card in a sense, but I think that in this first edition of the barometer, we also look at some of the, for example, the 2016 survey that was done by Stats South Africa during the community survey, to look at what do communities say about their councillors, about service delivery, what are their top priorities. So part of what we need to do, and we still need to look at which instrument we will use. So we will get focus on reports from government, from civil society, from our own structures. But in addition to that, we will also have to look at some kind of outreach to communities to be able to get their feedback about, what are the ongoing issues and challenges that they face.
Okay. What will be the role, of the stakeholders within, communities and local government, like SALGA, for example? How will that relationship be managed in regards to working with these communities to get these feedback and the reports so that they're accurate, as a barometer?
One of I think the participatory element of the system of local government, and that's one of the areas that we need to fix, is the fact that you have quite a few structures that's supposed to ensure that communities participate in meaningful ways. For example, you have ward committees that's funded by the municipality. And those ward committees are supposed to convene regular meetings where the ward councillor can come back and say that you have raised this issue about the road not being tarred, or the fact that there's lots of accidents on this road. Can we have a speed bump there, or whatever the problem may be. I've raised it in the council. This is the response from the council, and it may well be to say that, there are other priorities. It's only going to happen in 2 years. So the ward committees, we play an important role in terms of getting that feedback from the community, because although the committee is an elected committee, it is supposed to call community meetings to find out what the issues is. So in a sense, part of what we want to do is to also strengthen those structures that are play such an important role in making sure that interface between the council and communities take place. you know, during the voter registration weekend, there was quite a disturbing something that happened. You know, in a part of Soweto, the community was complaining, and they say they're not going to allow any registration to happen because they haven't had electricity for 1 year. And the ward councillor come, they interview the person, and the person say, "Oh, I didn't know that."
And they're the ward councillor in that area. What's going on?
I mean, I was quite shocked. So I think that those kind of things, because your ward councillor is your first line of defence. If there's a problem with your with a leaking pipe in your street, you should be able to have the number of your ward councillor, pick it up and phone and say, but in this street, and the ward councillor should then report it to the municipality. There's an interesting thing which Mayor Masina said on your show about, I don't know, a week or so ago. Because he said that breakages happen. You know, even in the Big Apple in New York, they not too long ago had a problem with sewage as well around their restaurants. But it's the extent to which local government are able to respond quickly.
Okay. So in this instance of this, you know, ward councillor who didn't know, with this barometer, what would happen in that instance?
Yeah. So the barometer works together with other instruments that we've put in place. So, for example, we have the councillors have signed the pledge, and then we've also got a deployment contract with them. And part of what the expectation from them is that they're supposed to once a month have a ward committee meeting. We have an instrument called the ANC Cloud, where councillors will be required to report on a monthly basis. Have you called a ward committee meeting? What is happening to understand what's happening with safety and security matters in their community? Is the community policing forum operating? And what are the sort of trends in terms of crimes in the area? So the instrument will work together with other forms of accountability mechanism that the movement has to be able to make sure that you don't have a situation where, you know, there's a problem for a whole year and then you come on the day and you say, I didn't know.
Will the councillors be sacked because there will be no report from, you know, the activities or work that they've done in this instance?
Yeah, our deployment contract, and we actually in the next couple of days will be distributing it to all of our structures. The deployment contract makes provision for you to be recalled if you don't perform your basic duties. And the basic duty of a ward councillor is to make sure that it maintain that contact with the community, but also that it represents community issues in the council. And similarly, you know, your proportional representation councillors, they have other responsibilities in the council. So in a sense, what we're saying with the barometer is that as a movement, we need to have a much better sense of accountability at local government level. You know, we tend to, as a national movement, focus on national government and provincial government, and local government as a distinct sphere, you know, tend to be left on its own. In this sense, we need to make sure that there is that national focus.
Okay, so one of the questions as well is how will it improve performance when it comes to this district development model? Yeah. Speak to us about how the barometer connects to
the district development model. Yeah, the district development model has been introduced to be able to improve cooperation between national, province, and local, because these are distinct spheres of government, but they're supposed to work together. Now, what tend to happen, and during the barometer launch today, one of the mayors made an interesting point, because what she said is that if you just take the budget of the municipality or the district, it's something like, I think, 200 million. But if you then crowd in what the provincial government spent in that district, what the national government spent in that district, it goes into the billions. And I think she talked about 100 billion if you do that. So what the district development model is it's a relatively new instrument and a relatively new process. So what we hope to do through the barometer is to be able to also track whether we are making progress. Up to now, the Deputy Minister of COCTA today say that out of the 257 municipalities, we only have 44 district development plans. So that's, you know, not even a fifth of all of the 20% of all of the DDMs district plans that's in place. So what we want to do is to be able to, after the first 100 days, to ask the question, okay, last time you said there are only 44,
how many
we need to know how many are there, and of those that are already in place, are they being implemented, and how are they working?
So also one of the biggest challenges, financial management systems and how they need to be improved in correlation to, for example, the Auditor General reports when they come through, you know, maladministration and proper spending in municipalities. How does the barometer sort of like keep track and reports of that?
A key part of the barometer will be to look at the AG's reports, and then to be able to see are we moving in the right direction or not. But part of what we have got in our manifesto is to look at the more midterm things that we need to do to be able to systemically address the problem. One of them is proper financial skills. So at a political level, our criteria for your for finance, I mean, the person should have, at the basics, some financial experience, be able to read a budget, a financial statement, to be able to ensure that the systems run. And it was very interesting, the mayor of Senqu that we had at the launch today. I mean, they've had for 5 years clean audits. And one of the things, I mean, and this is a very small, poor municipality. They can't afford a chartered accountant, but they have a financial manager that's trained, that produces reports. They have oversight structures. So I think that the financial management issue is about making sure that we get the right people to be able to do the job. The second one is to employ, I mean, the CFO position in municipalities is very important. And, you know, we've read the stories about CFOs that's got matric, with no experience, no qualifications in financial management. The commitment from the ANC is to make sure that that's not going to happen in this term. We will ensure that proper qualified people are put in place, not just at a political level in terms of the mayoral committee, but also in terms of the administrative staff. And tracking that through a quarterly barometer is also, in a sense, putting pressure on the underperforming municipalities to be able to say, you know, these are the ones that haven't submitted their financial accounts on time. These are the ones that still continue to get unqualified reports. But I think that it's also can play the role of looking at best practice.
Okay.
Because, for example, one of the things about the Senqu municipality in the Eastern Cape is the fact that they then, a neighbouring municipality that's smaller, came to them and say that, how do you guys do that? We've got problems. We keep on getting qualified reports, financial reports. What can we do? And they helped them, and they, for the first time, also got a clean audit and able to put their books in order.
Okay. So in terms of like incentivizing municipalities to do better versus, you know, now when they're going to have this barometer to keep track of themselves, how will that be looked at going forward?
You know, in this system of government, there's quite a bit of incentives to municipalities if they perform well. I mean, for example, if a municipality does not spend its infrastructure grant, it impacts on whether it will get more money the next year, because you haven't spent it, it had to be returned, you didn't use the money for the roads, or you didn't use the money for water or sanitation. Why would you ask for more money? So I think that there's built into the system, there are incentives for municipalities to do well. And I think that and one of the reasons for our slogan of building better communities together, that it's not just the responsibility of councillors, it's the communities, it's civil society, it's the, you know, the churches, the sports organizations, faith-based organizations, the small businesses in a particular community that all need to work together to make sure that we make local government work. Because at the end of the day, if there's no water or there's no electricity, or there's you know, garbage in the road, it's not good for business. So in a sense, we all have an interest in making sure that we build better communities and make local government work.
Okay, so on the theme of building better communities, you know, today is the birthday of O.R. Tambo, and you know, it's about looking back at the kind of leadership that the ANC has produced in the past, but at the same time be able to use that to ensure that it produces, you know, better leaders for the future. What do you think, you know, his thoughts would be on ANC's performance if he was to have a scorecard and a barometer against the ANC today?
He was a very hard taskmaster.
Especially going into the elections.
Yes. I mean, Comrade O.R. Tambo was a very hard taskmaster in the sense of he didn't, I mean, he was very focused on excellence. In whatever you do, you need to do the best. And I think that in a sense you would be disappointed in the state of local government, that we haven't done better. But I think that one of the things that he also very firmly believed in is the capacity for renewal and for self-correction. And I think that something like the barometer, the pledge, the process of renewal that the ANC is undergoing, of reaching out once again with communities and, you know, listening to people. And Comrade Mbalula today at the launch said that often the media sees when people ask the president or any other official tough question that is in opposition, but that's who the ANC is. I mean, people feel that they can be tough with the ANC and say that you haven't done what you said to do, we want you to do, because that's what we expect from you. And I think that that's the legacy of Oliver Reginald Tambo, that the ANC is there primarily to serve the people, and therefore who it has to listen to is the people and to act accordingly.
Okay, thank you so much for coming through and spending time with us tonight. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. November 1st is the date for you to go to the polls. But me and you will catch up again very soon for another conversation that's insightful as we try to understand the manifesto and build better communities. From me, Penny Libiani, until next time, good night.
Businesses that provide jobs and livelihoods. This is what South Africans want. We are the African National Congress, and we've been serving the people of this country for the past 27 years. Vote ANC, Amandla! Amandla!